Welcome to the Forward Marketing Podcast, the podcast that covers internet marketing strategies and leadership tactics to move your business forward. With your host, Joshua Jarvis. Hey, and welcome to the live broadcast of the Forward Marketing Podcast. I am your host. If you're on Facebook, you know I'm Joshua Jarvis, but I'm excited to do this live thing and probably going to make a bunch of mistakes, and you guys can have fun with me. Before I get started, wanted to talk to you about just the kind of the course of the podcast that we've had over this year. It's been pretty exciting. In fact, we did a long series on SEO, and so if you're at all interested in SEO, learning how to rank, then the best place to go is to forwardmarketing.com/podcast, and you'll see every episode there, including a frequently asked questions section of all your SEO questions. So you can check that out. That's forwardmarketing.com/podcast. It's 4rdmarketing.com/podcast. I'll put a link in the chat box here for you guys, and online. You guys know, if you're already subscribed to the podcast, then you'll already know about it. So today's episode is called the 12 Days of Lead Generation. Next year, we're going to be focusing on lead generation for small businesses, and that's from basically your emails, your input, everything that you've sent me has all been about lead generation. So that's what we're going to talk about next year. But today is the episode's 12 Days of Lead Generation, and it kind of follows up. Last week we did sort of Facebook A to Z with our partner John Poley, and so he's coming back to finish that next week. So if you're a subscriber or listener and you were thinking you're going to hear John today, he's going to hear him next week. So it's going to be awesome as he finishes that out. And especially if you want to know anything about Facebook at all, that's your guy. It's probably one of the reasons why I'm actually here doing this live. So again, this is a live broadcast of the podcast for Forward Marketing, and it's the 12 days of lead generation. So before we get into the 12 days, I really want a filter for you guys to sort of think about lead generation. And so if you remember a few episodes ago, we did the future-proof marketing plan. And one of the things I wanted you to do was come up with your why. Kind of like, why are you in business? What do you believe in? What really gets you passionate about what you're doing? And and we referenced that book, Start With Why, from Simon Sinek. And if you go through those exercises and you understand your why, it makes so much of these lead generation techniques and everything so much easier. And it makes it so much really more powerful. You're able to connect with your clients a lot better. You really have a better understanding, just kind of instead of just doing the business every day, And so I'm going to take that why, and then I'm also going to, if you've ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, take that sort of approach. And so in all of his books about social media, he's talking about hitting all the different channels and really getting your message out there. That's what connects the customers to you. People will do business with you if they just like you, know you, and trust you. I mean, you've heard that before. But it's really that message that can sort of take it to the next level. And so then with that in mind, that's where we came up with the sort of 12 days of lead generation, since it is almost 12 days to Christmas. So the first one is going to be connect with past clients. I know you thought I was going to say something like technical, but really, and you can use technology to connect with them, but really connecting with past clients. The more and more businesses that I help on the technology side, I see this big gaping hole in connecting with their past clients, their sphere of influence, their friends or family. There's people that, and I see you guys on here now, there's some people that I would want to do business with, and they're friends, but I feel like, oh, that's kind of strange to do that. And then all of a sudden, they go and when I was in real estate, this happened a lot. I'd have a friend buy a house, and I'd be like, hey, what's up? Well, I never talked to them about real estate, so why would I think that they would, naturally use me? So connect to your past clients. In fact, I even had an email from an old real estate client. He's buying a house. I'm like, I guess I can't really be upset since I don't do it anymore, but it's still kind of funny because I didn't connect with him. And so I think what's going to happen with real estate agents in particular is, when they say technology is going to get rid of real estate agents. And so I think if for whatever reason, if an industry like that goes away, it's not going to be because of technology. It's going to be because they never called back. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Because that's the biggest opportunity, the cheapest business. I mean, it's just It blows my mind. And I mean, I was guilty of it when I was doing it. So connecting with past clients, easy ways to do that. You could just set up a newsletter. But don't do a cheesy newsletter. Do something about what you're passionate about, right? That would be exciting. I think I can't speak for all the people who are on my email list, but if I brought a passionate message each and every week, I notice like right now our forward marketing list is about 5,000 strong, and no one, the unsubscribe rate is just so small. And I think it's because I'm trying to focus on the things that they're interested in, I'm excited about. It almost seems kind of prideful. So anyway, another thing you could do is a quarterly call. You could also, we're going to go talk about Facebook Live. I mean, you could literally answer questions. I see I've got one of my favorite insurance agents is watching right now, Brian Maloney. Shout out to you, brother. And so like you could literally come on live, Facebook Live, and do answer questions about insurance, because there's a lot of people who have questions about that. So number one is just connect with past clients. I think that's probably the lowest hanging fruit for any business owner, is to connect with people who've already done business with you and your friends and your family. So number two is email marketing. So how are you going to connect? Email marketing. That was kind of the plan. And so if you are not emailing your database on a consistent basis, you're missing out. And it's okay to ask for the sale. It's okay to be a little promotional. Now, don't be all promotional. And I get a lot of those emails where it's only about doing business with that company. I want to know who I'm doing business with. I think everything society today is looking for authenticity and a little bit of transparency. So, if you were to bring that to your newsletter, I think that would be great. But if you're not emailing your database, then you're missing out. And that's another really low-hanging fruit for small businesses, is that, I mean, if you're not connecting with your past clients, you're not sending out emails, those are two things that you should do before 2018 happens. You should have a plan for those two things. Number three is partner up. And so a lot of these are non-technical, but really one of the best things for a small business in particular is to partner up with other organizations that either can refer you business, and so that way you guys are creating sort of a referral relationship, or it's just another business owner maybe in the same field that maybe you guys don't send referrals to each other, but you can actually work together with your content. You can potentially share databases. There's all kinds of things that you can do. And where I learned this from is actually step 4, or number 4 on the 12 days of lead generation. Step 4 is actually networking groups. And so you take number 3, partnering up, and networking groups. In fact, like I said, I mentioned Brian here previously on this Facebook Live podcast, and I had actually met him at a BNI group, and so highly recommend that. You can make some friends for life, but you can also make some business partners that you can partner up with in a natural sort of sphere. So since I was in real estate, it made sense for me to connect with mortgage brokers, made sense for me to connect with a financial planner. Anytime there's sort of money in motion, as my friend Bo Henderson, that's actually where I met him, was at a BNI group. And if you're not familiar with BNI or PowerCore, the Chamber of Commerce is probably a good place to start. But these other organizations like the BNIs and the PowerCores, these sort of networking groups that are sort of intentional about the way they do things, can really, really teach you a lot, so that when you go to Atlanta has this great thing, so it's like networking after dark or something. If you go to that, then you're going to get more out of it because you've already been sort of trained in how to network. So, but look for a partner business that can, like I said, that you guys can pass referrals back and forth. Like I said, a mortgage person and a referral and a real estate agent make a lot of sense. And you can do that online. So it's not just about offline sort of in-person sort of things where you're passing actual clients, but you can also do things that can help each other, like just linking back and forth to your websites and that sort of thing. So if you want to know how to do that, you can actually listen to one of our old podcasts on SEO and link building. It's at forwardmarketing.com/podcast. You can go back and listen to all those. And there's also show notes in case you don't want to listen to the whole podcast. So, but networking groups is number 4. So number 1 is connect with past clients. Number 2 is email marketing. Number 3 is partnering up and making a friend. And number 4 is networking groups. So we mentioned BNI and PowerCore. But hey, there's another really great one that if you haven't considered it, it's called Toastmasters. And most people don't consider that sort of a networking group per se, but it's a great way to learn to build your speaking skills as well as connecting with others. And clearly, I have not gone through it because you're hearing all the ums and ahs and all the filler words, and so I'm ashamed to admit that I've been to a few of those, but I need to go back. So anyway, right, number 5. So let's say you're struggling. You're saying, hey, I've got an online business, Josh. I can't meet people. So I'd say shame on you. That's not true. But you can go to LinkedIn. And what I would recommend a LinkedIn strategy, so this is lead generation, right? So in each one of these things, you just have to be intentional about that lead generation. But my strategy for really a lot of these is sort of the anti-strategy, right? You go in, add value. You're only looking for, when I go into a room to network or whatever, I'm only looking, how can I help others? And what's funny is that I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm not trying to force someone to give back to me. But what happens is the more people I help, the more help I get. So it's always worked that way, and it's been great. And so that's what I would recommend. So in LinkedIn, you can do the same thing. You can post a lot of valuable content on there. You can connect, but also what I would do is go through your profile and make sure that your profile matches the customer that you're trying to attract, so that you can actually use it as some sort of a credibility piece when you send it out to your clients. So if you're using the email, like we mentioned in number 2, if you're sending out an email, you can say, hey, check out my LinkedIn profile. And so that they can actually see what you're about. So it's a great credibility piece, but LinkedIn also has groups. And it also is a way for you to connect with, we used to have this saying in one of our B&I groups, who can I connect you to, or who do I know that you should know? And then LinkedIn's a great way to connect to those contacts that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. In fact, you can go on mine right now, and if there's someone that I know that I'm connected to, I'd be happy to make an introduction for you. So but you got to be intentional, because I've never had that request, which is so funny because that's one of the easiest things to do in LinkedIn. I use it all the time. So number 5 is LinkedIn, and really right behind it, maybe as a same sort of item, Facebook groups. Same sort of strategy. Go in, expect just to add value, add as much value as you can. I remember back years ago, I was always sort of just kind of confused. Kept hearing this, add value, add value, add value. And what does that really mean? I mean, come on. And what I found was just thinking about how to help people. I mean, when I just listen to someone talk about their business or their biggest challenge and just trying to find ways to help that person. And so that's really, to me, what adding value is really just listening to that person. And then also if there's an opportunity, looking to help them. And so the same thing when you go into a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group, is that when people are asking questions, that you're responding, you're trying to help them. And there's several of these instances where someone posted a question on like a WordPress question, and really they could have Googled the answer, if I'm honest. But taking that extra few minutes to help them has really just, now we're friends, and it's been one of those things. And I've also received help from people who, frankly, again, I could have probably Googled the answer out, or I probably could have figured it out, but they saved me so much time by giving me sort of the answer that I needed in that moment. So anyway, Facebook group. So if you're just kind of tuning in, connect. This is the podcast for Forward Marketing Podcast, and this is the 12 days of lead generation. So I've got some kind of low tech, some classic lead generation stuff here, connecting with your past clients, making sure that you've got your email marketing to your database. But these are things that I meet with businesses almost every day, and this is stuff they don't have. So this is the reason why I'm mentioning it. And I got partnering up, making a friend, having that business, another business that's maybe in the same sphere as you, that's working towards a similar goal, networking groups, LinkedIn, Facebook groups. And now here's one you probably haven't thought of, but if you're looking for even more people, and especially if you have an online business, look at Reddit. It can get scary in there. So if you're too scared for Reddit, and you probably should be, you can check out Quora and answer questions on Quora. But Reddit's been a place where I've found they have these groups there, where as you become more and more of a commenter, you get invited into sort of secret groups. And it's been really great. And if you're in real estate and you're thinking, Josh just kind of lost me, he just went to Reddit of all places, why would I ever go to Reddit? There's a real estate Reddit. So there's probably a Reddit for your small business, no matter what it is, and I would check that out if I were you, especially if you're looking for sort of online connections, or just looking for advice or looking to promote your product. That'd be a great one. Now, what would you've got all these different things. How are you really going to lead generate with this? Now, you can just be direct and you can ask, you can add a lot of value and hope that it comes. But I've got another one that might surprise you, and it's called Write a Book. And I don't necessarily mean write a book for, that everyone has that sort of book in them that they want to write. You can write it for credibility. You could write it for a resource guide. And that's really more along the lines of what I'm thinking of, is writing kind of like the e-book to be able to give away. As I look at who's on the Facebook Live right now, there's real estate agents, there's some insurance agents, and the reality of it is that you guys know so much more than the public does about your industry, that you could write a resource guide. It could be how to save money on insurance. It could be how to a frequently asked questions sort of guide, how to buy a first home. All those sort of things could be in your resource guide. So that's what I would focus on, is doing something like that. And then you can give it away. So then you can go back to all the things that we talked about, and you say, well, I can give it to my past clients. Hey guys, I just wrote this great first-time home buyer guide. Hey guys, I just wrote how to save 20% on your, on your insurance. I used to know someone who owned a Cartridge World. Hey, here's the ins and outs of what that's all about. So you could write a guide, send it to your email, send it to your past clients through email, right? You could also partner up with someone, have them send that out. So part of what we did last week, we had John Poley on. I partnered with him because he's an expert on Facebook marketing, and so he has a guide that he can give out. And so you could do that at each one of these things. In fact, I even ran into people when I was doing networking, and I would meet them in person, that I would meet someone that would hand me a card, and it had this link to it to where they could download a resource guide. So resource guides, number 8, or write a book. And I know financial planners have written books before for credibility piece. So that's number 8. All right, so number 9 is a webinar. So really, when we go all the way back, if you're just joining in, the lens I want you to kind of think about these lead generation techniques from the idea of you starting with why, sort of why are you in business, and then you're kind of looking at it through this sort of tenacious Gary Vaynerchuk style of approach, so that each one of these you could be basically this valuable resource that's also getting your message out there. And so when you write that book that's going to carry your message, when you have a webinar, you could give away the book, or you could just have a webinar on those things. Now, a webinar is not going to be perfect for every business model, but there's the same sort of approach. If my insurance agent said, hey, check out our webinar, and maybe it was recorded, or maybe it was a podcast. A podcast could easily be the same thing, where he's talking about how to save me money, something that's interesting to me, the client. And so that's what you've got to focus on. If you're going to create content for that you want to generate leads on, you really need to focus on the customer and the client. But like I said, you've got to stay true to that message. That's kind of the whole point. So number 9 was webinar. I just see that my buddy John Poley is on here, and so again, reminder, that guy, then you've got to listen to him. But if you want to know more about webinars, go check out his website, and you can get that on the show notes. So number 10 is SEO. So my favorite thing to talk about typically is SEO, but a lot of small business owners aren't in a position to be able to really sort of master SEO. And so I'm not trying to get to anyone to understand SEO in this episode. You can go back and listen to our Forward Marketing Podcast, old SEO episodes. We go into pretty good depth in those. I think there's like 8 episodes, including a frequently asked questions section. And so if you're interested in that, you can go and dive into that. But really, if you just kind of wanted the Cliff Notes version of sort of SEO 101, then I would say just answer questions. In fact, that's the sort of the takeaway of the 12 days of lead generation is really be ready just to answer those questions and put it through that filter of your why, and so that your message is very clear in these answers. And I think that you're going to be really surprised that you're going to attract clients versus having to sort of market, and you won't even really be marketing anymore. So SEO, so target questions. Ideally, you could actually do it via video. And so you could answer these questions via video and then put them on your blog. And so a real easy way to do that is to go to our forwardmarketing.com podcast page. There's one called the Future Proof Marketing Plan. It goes in depth on basically how you could do this without any SEO knowledge and just basically go through and start answering questions via video and then putting them on your page. You will attract customers. I kid you not, there was the year I sold 102 homes in real estate was mostly from doing video answered questions. It was because of short sales. And so I was answering questions about short sales, and really it was probably my most fulfilled part of my career was helping people sort of avoid foreclosure. And so I was answering all the questions that I kept getting. And so I got all this business. And so that's where the future proof marketing strategy comes from at forwardmarketing.com. That's also where I'm going with the SEO side of this. So don't worry about technical SEO. You don't have to worry about all that. I think that you could go down that route and master that niche. But for lead generation, I really want you to focus on just answering questions and doing the sort of frequently asked questions sections. So that's number 10. So we're down to the final 2 out of the 12 days of Christmas. And so number 11 is local SEO. So all the way back on one of our first episodes, we talked about local SEO. And if you're curious, this is sort of the bonus I always give away to everyone because no one sets this stuff up, and I don't understand why. But if you go to google.com/business, you can set up your own business page on Google. And if you've ever done any searches on the internet, if you've ever done any plumbers in my area, you've ever needed someone, Google is really great about forcing a map up on your search and showing you the people that are around you. And so that's where you need to be. And I would say maybe 85% of the business owners I talk to haven't done this. And if they have, typically they've gone with one of those companies that sort of hijacks your listing. And so that's not what I want you to do. Just go to google.com/business. And I don't get anything for this. There's no affiliate on this thing. You can create this totally for free. And there's really a lot of cool things, but it'll start to drive business to you. Now, there's a bunch of things you can learn about that. Again, you can go to our website. We've done a whole episode on this. This isn't the 12 episodes of Forward Marketing Podcast, but we've covered a lot of these. And so you can go there and that'll be useful. But if you don't want to learn anything about it, you really are just like, oh man, there's just too much information, then just go to google.com/business, set that up. It'll walk you through it. And you've already done something that is probably missing from your business. Now, this is great if you have a brick and mortar, but even if you don't, you can still set your business up. So at Forward Marketing, we did have an office and now we don't, but I still have it set up because I still get inquiries from that listing. So it's important to have it set up no matter what. As long as you're a business owner, have it set up. So, and then finally, and you'll find this one probably a little bit funny, number 12 is Facebook Live. And so in my future proof marketing strategy, I said, hey, you got to go Facebook Live. And so this is the second week of me trying to do this. I don't know if I'm going to do the podcast every week on this thing because I'm very, very conscious. There's a screen with my face on it. I can't do edits in the middle. And so because all the ums now are going to be inside the podcast. But I definitely think that getting on here on Facebook Live is important, not only because of the people it's showing me that's actually watching this, but also because it gets viewed over and over and over and over again. And then I can also reuse this content. I can take this down. In fact, I am going to take this down and put this on my YouTube channel. I'm going to use this as the podcast. I think there's so many cool things that you can do with it that even if you don't get that many views on a Facebook Live sort of broadcast, that you can reuse that content for other things. In fact, again, not to sort of beat this thing down, but the Future Proof Marketing Strategy said, hey, use Facebook Live every single week. You could answer a question every week, and that could be your digital marketing strategy for 2018, and you would kill it because you're probably not doing half of these things, and just being consistent is going to win. So just to recap, the 12 days of lead generation. Again, remember, I wanted you to kind of go through the filter of your why. So the why that you're in business, the thing that you believe most, like I believe that businesses can change the world. This is why I'm trying to help them grow. That's my whole thing. So I want you to sort of view yours, have that lens, and then if you've ever read any Gary Vaynerchuk stuff, in fact, I'm going to come up with free downloads so that you can get some of his content if for some reason you've never heard of him. But he really is sort of like this tenacious, energetic person that goes after sort of social media channels. And so what I would suggest is that's the kind of approach that you need to look at all these different ways to connect. If you can't be passionate about your business, your clients aren't going to be. But if you are passionate, then you'll start attracting the kind of customers and clients that you want. And that's kind of the whole point of these 12 days. So I'm going to go through the list real quick just for you. And there was like a mad face just going across here. That's so funny. But here's the 12 days. All right, so one is connect with your past clients. That out of the 12 days of lead generation, connect with past clients, probably the biggest missed opportunity out of all the business. When I talk to business owners all the time, that's probably one of the biggest missed opportunities. Email marketing, again, another missed opportunity. It's funny, I'll go in and be hired for an SEO, sort of SEO consult, and I'll discover they don't have any email marketing going on. In some cases, in fact, one company didn't even have a database. And all the SEO in the world can drive, surely it can drive leads, but if you don't have a place to put them and you don't have a way to communicate with them, then you're going to be out. Partnering up, make a friend. Again, John Poley, we're friends, we're partnering up. There's a reason it can really double your business. And you can do this in any industry, whether you're in insurance, whether you're in real estate, whether you're at Cartridge World. It doesn't matter. Networking groups, highly recommend. If you can't, I would love it if you did the once a week because you're going to get a lot out of it. But check out BNI, look up PowerCore. There's probably other ones. I know there's a women's only one that's in my area. But the Chamber of Commerce is a great one to visit. I mentioned LinkedIn and Facebook groups, Reddit and Quora. If you're answering questions, you can actually build. That's right, John. And but Reddit and Quora is a great place to go if you want some online connections and you sort of want to build some credibility. It's just a great place to actually network online. Writing a book or writing a resource guide, that's number 8. And number 9 is doing a webinar. So you can do a webinar and give away the book. That's the whole idea. And then number 10 was SEO, so targeting questions. So don't worry so much about the SEO side of things. I just kind of wrote that as my special note for myself. But really just answering questions, and you can answer those questions via video, and then you can post them on Facebook Live, which was number 12. And the number 11, I kind of skipped over it, but just as a review, is local SEO. That's the google.com/business. And I'm just so surprised, again, that as John mentioned, there's some of them don't have databases, so it only makes sense that they wouldn't be on Google that way. But there doesn't require any technical skill to set up this site, so go ahead and do that. So, and that's the 12 days of lead generation. Woo! And it's all live, so this is crazy. But I am excited to have done that, and I'm actually pretty pumped about next week's episode. We've got John Poley coming back with Facebook A to Z, sort of this part 2, and I'm just really excited about that one because again, I haven't met anyone that knows Facebook more than John. And really, for small business owners, he does focus on real estate agents, but really for small business owners, that's a sort of a must listen. You can't bookmark podcasts, but that would be the thing I do. And so I would just go subscribe. In fact, so go ahead and subscribe to my podcast and then give me a great rating because I got John on the podcast. That'd be great. So that's what's coming up next week. And so be sure to tune in. And as always, there'll be a post with the show notes at forwardmarketing.com/podcast. And you'll see the notes and links to everything I'm talking about. Because this is live, it may be a little bit delayed. So just be aware of that. So if you're watching this live on Facebook, then you're going to not necessarily see that link. But if you're getting it on the podcast, it'll already be there by the time this is posted. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. And thanks for all the funny little things that floated across the live. I never understand who's actually doing that because I got one of the angry ones. I'm like, who's that? But anyway, thanks so much for listening. And catch me next week on Forward Marketing Podcast.